just like we've talked about how failure is temporary, success is temporary as well. Talk a little bit about that.
I think the biggest thing I preach to kids I mentor now going to the NFL, whether it be Tua, other quarterbacks, other players, college guys that I mentor through the Elite 11 or my players here at Lipscomb Academy, it is so much harder to handle success than failure. And that is, I mean, you see it all over our country. Turn on the news every night. I don't want to make this anything political, but if you can't see that, then you have blinders on. The destruction of what's going on around us is because people experience success / power and they don't know how to handle it. And then it becomes toxic because they think they're more important because of success or power than the next person. And there's a trickle-down effect to that, and it just rots communities, it rots organizations, it rots countries. And if you can identify that as you're having success and train yourself, the more success I have, there's this humility success equation that's going on. And humility better be beating success. Because as soon as that tips and success is beating humility, you don't know you're going down a dark path, but you are. Yeah. And you're listening to this going, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, talk to me in 15 years.
It's one of those dynamics where
it's happening.
You will be humbled.
You will be humbled.
Either you will humble yourself or life or whatever will humble you.
It is absolutely coming. And I have incredible mentors, mega successful moguls of business, political. I mean, I have friends all over the country that have experienced massive success, and they will all tell you this. And that's who I've learned it from, is your humility better be beating your success, outweighing your success. Because as soon as that tips, it's coming. It might happen until you're 70. It might happen until you're 65. It might happen tomorrow, but it's coming.
And after you won that Super Bowl, yours came kind of quick.
Super quick. So in the Super Bowl, I was actually just telling the story the other day because we had the 20-year reunion in Baltimore, and one of the beat reporters there who's on his first year of the beat in 2000, now he's 20 years into this thing, called me and said, hey, we haven't talked in a few years. Will you retell the story? And I'm like, sure. We're at the airport, my wife and I, to go to the ESPYs to represent the Baltimore Ravens for Team of the Year. Like, that's where we're headed. And I get a call from my offense coordinator, Matt Cavanaugh, and he says, hey, I don't know how to say this to you, but he didn't say they've decided that you're the third choice in free agency. I said, wow, would we finish third last year? I thought we finished first.
Of course. Yeah.
And they had Ozzie Newsome and Brian Billick, the brain trust in Baltimore, decided that there were 3 free agent quarterbacks that year. Brad Johnson, who ended up saying no to them and going to Tampa and winning a Super Bowl in Tampa. Elvis Gerback, who was in Kansas City, and myself. And they had ranked them and the future of the Baltimore Ravens. And it was Johnson, Gerback, Dilfer. And Johnson said no, and they went to Gerback, and he said yes and retired 1 year later.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
So in that moment, talk a little bit about the importance of not having your identity wrapped up in being a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
My wife to this day admires how I never flinched in that. I was disappointed. I was angry a little bit. I didn't act out in my anger, but I was angry. I also thought it was laughable. Part of it was just my inner confidence and belief in myself. I just knew they were wrong. My teammates were incredible. The outpouring of support from my teammates in Baltimore was to this day, they'll fight you if you tell them they should have let me go. It was the right decision. But I didn't flinch. I had learned so much in 96 and 99 that I was just like, okay, God, this is not the path I wanted. This is not the one I would choose. It's not how I would have done it, but something is going to happen. And what's the next good thing that's going to happen? Because I do think a big piece of this, and we probably don't have time to dive into it, but look into this and go to the John Gordons of the world, the Michael Gervais of the world, if you're interested in this next part. To really thrive through setbacks, optimism's at the key of it. There's a spiritual optimism. We know where the victory is. There's also just a day-to-day optimism. What's the next good thing that's going to happen to me? I'm waiting for the next good thing. I'm not waiting for the next bad thing. I'm not wallowing in the bad thing I'm in. What's the next good thing that's going to happen? And that's where I was at. I'd now learned, I had 2 real significant moments in my life where I had to deal with this already. I had trained myself to look through life through an optimistic lens. And I was like, okay, what's next? And there was a waiting period there. I thought I was going to go to Kansas City. That all that was lined up. It didn't happen. Again, I was disappointed, but I was like, okay, you got something better. I thought I was going to go to the Rams for a while. That didn't happen. And then Mike Holmgren and the Seattle Seahawks were shocked that I was still available. And they brought me in, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And I would not have had the impact that I've had in the football space if it wasn't for the 4 years in Seattle, because that's where my eyes were opened to the bigness of the game, the impact of the game, and how to teach the game. I could not have taught the game pre-2000. 2000 to 2007 is where I learned how to teach the game, which launched me to a 9-year TV career and now a coaching career. And I didn't know at the time that I was going there to learn how to teach. But now that I look back, I can see, okay, God, you wanted me to impact through football for years, decades. I think I'm going to be doing this for the next 20, 25 years. Now I can kind of put my finger on it and go, that's why. Because if I would have just gone back and won another Super Bowl and got another huge contract, then I wouldn't have gone to TV. I'd probably be playing golf 200 days a year living in Florida. And because I went to Seattle, because I learned how to teach the game from one of the greatest teachers of all time, because I got to understand Bill Walsh's secret sauce, and I got to become great friends with the Steve Youngs and the Brett Favres of the world, and because Jim Zorns and guys that just have their tentacles so deep in football and then take that and go be around the Norv Turners and the Romeo Crennels and blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden my football path became more about learning how to give it away than take from the game. And I think that's going to go on for decades.
That eventually led you into coaching, which is where you are today
Can't believe I ever met you.
As the head football coach for the Lipscomb Academy Mustangs in Nashville, Tennessee. Talk a little bit about the journey into coaching, and then I want to spend the last few minutes together really just thinking about some of the lessons you've learned through coaching now and how those can be really impactful for people that are not in football, but just people that are out there in life trying to make good things happen.
I think the biggest thing with my coaching story was that I had countless opportunities while I was at ESPN and even leaving the NFL in 2007 to jump in at a super high level. Because I remember those from 2000, 2007, I was kind of being groomed to be a coach, teacher, GM type person. And it wasn't right family-wise. 3 girls, competitive athletes, they had chased me around. I'm going to go chase you guys around and let you follow your dreams. So I'm working at ESPN. I'm, doing the thing with the girls. Then I retire, and I had kicked my feet up. Like, we had gone to Austin and just said, okay, we're just going to watch our kids, finish their college careers, be grandparents, play golf, get in a bridge club type thing. And it was so clear that was not where I was supposed to be. And again, self-examination, realized I was saying no to God on a bunch of things, and then really felt called to this deal at Lipscomb. You know the story. You walked with me through it. And it's so cool when you say yes to your calling, because it doesn't have to be fun anymore. This isn't fun all the time. It's not fun having 108 families where their problem is your biggest problem. It's not fun doing all the stuff you do, but it's so rewarding and the impact is so great. And you see your giftedness start coming out when you're in the middle of your calling. All these things that you're not quite sure if you're good at, but you kind of maybe have an inclination you could be good at. Well, when you're inside your calling, all of a sudden you're really good at those things. Building, I always say inspiring. There's different ways of saying it, but I want to inspire the most from the least and the best from the best. And when I say least, I don't mean like you're nothing, but maybe you're not talented, or maybe you're uninspired. Maybe you've never been unlocked. It's a big thing that happened here was just unlocking people, just speaking into them to unlock them and let them know that there's so many things they can push through and so much more to who they are. But all of a sudden you start seeing that happen and you start seeing your people grow, and then the impact of your people growing on the people they impact, and just the exponential effect to that. And you're like, oh, okay, this is why I'm doing this.
So a couple of things that I've heard you say as a coach that have certainly impacted my life, and I think many others as well. The first one is the whole idea of living on the edge of uncomfortable. And you just talked about it in terms of, and I think, frankly, the fear of failure is what leads people to pursue comfort.
No doubt.
And here you're telling young kids, no. I want you to live on the edge of uncomfortable, which means you will likely fail.
Yep. One of our core values, at the edge of uncomfortable is where you'll find greatness. So we want to push you to be uncomfortable, but we also want to get you freedom to fail. I think both things work hand in hand. If you don't feel like you have the freedom to fail, you're not going to be willing to go get uncomfortable.
And it's really about giving courage, right?
Yes. I think that's the end of the day. And I think affirmation's a piece of this. You really have to affirm people, encourage them to go get uncomfortable, challenge yourself, do stuff that you never would have done to find out the fullness of who you are. Now, some people don't want it. The fact of the matter is some people don't want to be great. They just want to be comfortable the rest of their life, check the box, die with the box checked. But I'm trying to change a community, serve a community, pull greatness out of people. And I know there's one road to that, and that's the hard road. That's the uncomfortable road. So we're really challenging our people to be uncomfortable, but as they're stretching their limits, they know they have support. They know they're being encouraged to do it. And if they fail, if they have a setback, we don't define them by that. So we don't define you by, you challenge yourself, you're uncomfortable, it didn't work out this time. You don't all of a sudden have oversight saying, can't have that. Well, then that's hypocrisy. So we're really allowing them to push through their limits, be uncomfortable, have a setback, encourage them through the setback, regroup, dust off, and go do it again. And we say again and again and again and again and again. It's on our shirts. It's everywhere. And it's super simple, but it's just the messaging is keep doing it again and again and again. And eventually after the 17th, 18th, 19th, 38th, 52nd again, you're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, I'm so much different than I was at the first again. And start measuring yourself on how many agains. So here's number one again. I didn't change that much. Now go back 52 agains and see how much different you are. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing kids that started lifting with a PVC pipe because they weren't strong enough to lift a 45-pound bar, and now they got 320 pounds on their back and repping it 3 times. And they're moving people bigger than them at the line of scrimmage. And that's just football. Who cares? You know what else they're doing? They were 2.8 students and now 4.0 students.
But it's really the same moment that you had with Coach Dungy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Where in the midst of your
go do the hard work,
low performance, he said, no, there's more potential here.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing in the lives of young people. The other thing you say is to do hard things, even if those hard things don't translate into a state championship.
Yep.
Why are those hard things so valuable for people?
So they work hand in hand. Obviously, if you're going to do hard things, you're going to be uncomfortable. We tell them, go find them, go seek them out, go find the biggest mountain to climb and put on your climbing boots and go climb it. We want to do hard things, so we want to harden ourselves. And I don't mean, again, I know I'm a football coach, but I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm not just saying this so you can hit people harder or play better football. It's a life lesson. Go do the hard thing because the hard thing is going to make you uncomfortable. And by diving into that, you're going to experience something in you didn't know you had. Tap into the personal reservoir. What? Again and again and again and again. So you go into the personal reservoir and you say, okay, I'm super scared of this climb. Like this climb's scary. There's ice, there's jagged edges. This is a metaphor. Oh my gosh, I can't even see the top. Well, just put your first hand in and your first foot in, and then do the second one, and then do the third one. And then maybe that's enough at this time, but then go back again and do the hard thing again. And the more agains, the more hards, the more uncomfortables, you're going to look back and go, I hated it when he told me that stuff. Gosh, that was brutal. I can't believe I bought into that. Oh, I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. I make 40% more at my job than I used to. I'm a better leader. I have greater impact. I'm happier. I have more joy in my life. Like those are the byproducts of doing hard things, being uncomfortable, and doing them again, again, blah, 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 again, and again.
One of the tests for people that are going through an experience like this is to recognize that success happens incrementally.
Yeah, it's good.
It's not like from here to where like now I've decided to be successful, and so all of a sudden I'm successful. It's incremental, and there's a level of patience that's required, isn't it?
Well, let's go back to something, because there'll be antagonists, skeptics. When I watch YouTube, I see people just go do funny things on YouTube and now they're millionaires. That success was quick. But if you do it the right way, by being uncomfortable and hard, now you'll handle the success right. Now your humility will outweigh your success. Because what does doing hard things and being uncomfortable do? It makes you humble. You have no choice but being humbled when you're
getting rocked every day.
When you're climbing huge mountains,
sure,
you're being humbled. So that humble foundation, that humility foundation is going to be there as you're having success. So it's a longer road. It's the long game, right? But when you have that success incrementally, you're also going to be able to handle that success. And so many people, and it'll all come out. Everything comes to light at some point. A lot of these people that fell into success quickly without doing the hard things, without being uncomfortable, won't handle the success well, and their falls down the mountain, instead of you just falling 3 steps and going again, they're falling 30 stories, and they may not get back up. And I think that's a really important lesson to learn as you're pursuing success, because we tell people, have big ambitions, have big dreams, push for huge success the right way so you can handle the success once you get it.
And so as you're thinking about the success and you're recognizing just some of the realities that kind of go with success, and you're really focusing on yourself in terms of doing the things, what happens in this process is a little bit magical, but all of a sudden you realize you become a leader.
Yeah, no doubt.
Talk about that a little bit.
And it's a burden. Here's the biggest thing with leadership. I've spoken at so many Fortune 500 companies, churches, leadership summits, whatever. And I start this one. I don't even know what leadership is anymore. You go onto Google and search leadership, and you have 3 million iterations of it. Everybody's written a book on it. Everybody has their opinions on it. I think it's more impact. You are going to find yourself impacting people. You're going to find yourself impacting them negatively or positively. If you are impacting and inspiring them to bigger and better and greater and more joyful things, then you are serving them. And as you do that, they're going to then multiply that impact as we go on. There's a burden to that. And everybody wants to be a leader until they're a leader. Everybody wants to have impact till they have impact. Absolutely. And it is a huge responsibility and a great burden to carry. Again, so as you climb the ladder to being an impactful person / leader, hopefully you're doing it the right way. Because I would argue that humility meter better be higher than your leadership impact. Because as soon as I'm powerful, I'm big, I lead, I'm the man, I'm the woman, I'm the difference maker. As soon as that gets bigger than humility, guess what's going to happen? Your positive impact is going to turn to negative impact. And that's the burden that leaders carry. I remember my daughters. My daughters watched their dad be an NFL quarterback, Super Bowl winner, leader. Like towards the end of my career, I was like the team captain, the leader of the team, the soul of the team. So they're so enamored with, as athletes, got to be the leader, got to be named team captain. Now, fortunately, got them young and started explaining these life principles to them. And what they experienced, they were team captain of every team they ever played on. But they looked at it as a burden. They didn't look at it as a position of power. They looked at a position as a servant. Like, okay, now I have to, these 12 girls on my team are looking at me to lead them. Well, the best way I can lead them is to serve them and help them get through some of the stuff they're going through. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of my 3 daughters, and they're all full ride scholarship, superstar volleyball players, but each one of them has taken a real servant's heart into leadership because they've seen their dad humbled. And I've told them, you don't have to you don't have to learn from your mistakes. You can learn from watching other knuckleheads make mistakes. And guess who's the biggest knucklehead in the family? Your dad. So let me tell you all the knucklehead mistakes I made, where they came from, what inspired those stupid decisions, knucklehead mistakes I did. So you don't have to make those same mistakes. And I think that's what good leaders do, people with great impact, is like, hey, team, whatever your team is, corporate team, family team, football team, whatever team. Guess what? You don't have to blow the sail. Let me show you how I blew the 1900 sails early in my career and all the mistakes that went up to losing that deal. Don't make that mistake. Learn my lesson. Learn from my failures, my setbacks. Those are the leaders that I find myself I find myself drawn to them because I'm like, oh, I don't have to make that mistake in my 50s. That guy made the mistake. He's being transparent about it. He's telling me why he made the mistake. He's showing me all the signs of that mistake coming. So now I see the warning signals. I'm not making that mistake.
And there's tremendous intentionality in that approach to life. Yeah. And I know one corporate CEO here in Nashville who tells a story about having a Christmas party at his house, and he invited all of his colleagues over, and he was the CEO of a very, very large company. And so he had a pretty nice home, and one of his colleagues went into his library and he looked around and he said, have you actually read all these books? And he goes, absolutely. I've read every word of them.
Wow.
And then he turns around and he looks at him and he says, that's how I became CEO, is all I did was read these books and try to put everything they said to work every single day. And as a result of it, I've been able to find a little bit of success. And so I hope that this podcast can be part of people's journey in terms of learning some of those lessons that you just talked about and putting them to work in their life in a way that they can shrink the learning curve, as you'll say, in life, to where they don't have to experience it. They don't have to overcome it. But like you said, they can take those lessons that are so critically important to keeping someone humble, to giving them the self-awareness, but then also inspiring them to be better. As we wrap up here, give me a couple of last thoughts here. I'm going to throw some things at you, and I just want
quick answers.
A quick answer, last thought, okay? Be the thermostat, not the thermometer.
So a leadership principle, don't know who I stole it from, but like most good stuff, I stole it and kind of changed it. A lot of people walk into a room and they adapt their leadership to the temperature of the room. That's a thermometer, right? You get the temperature of somebody. Great leaders walk in and they jack up the thermostat. The room's going to be how I determine the room's going to be, meaning inspire it to be hotter, to be better. We're really trying to create a generation of thermostat leaders where they walk into an environment and they're not going to react to what's going on. They're going to inspire it to be better.
Someone who's learned it the right way.
Try to keep this quick. One, you have to be a learner. Not everybody's a learner these days. You have to be willing to be a learner. You have to be willing to stretch and not think that you have all the answers or that your parents had all the answers, your teachers had all the answers, that you're willing to learn, critically think, wrestle with stuff. And then I would say the right part of it is if it produces positive impact for mankind. So if what you learned only produces something for you, it's not the right way. The right way is to make the world you live in a better place. So what you're learning is it making the world better.
One thing people misunderstand about you.
I think I'm really mean. Everybody thinks I'm mean's probably the wrong word.
Is that intensity that gets
I think they misinterpret intensity.
Which is really a reflection of the passion, right?
Yeah, I think so. I've had a lot of parents, kids, teachers, administrators, people since I've been in Nashville go, we thought you were so gruff and hard and mean and demanding. And maybe it was the big gray beard that I had for a long time. Maybe it's because I'm animated when I'm around people, but, I mean, it offends my girls because, I cry with them. I'm a crybaby, biggest crybaby in the I cry in movies. I cry all the time. I'm 3 daughters. Like I'm mush around them. I think that it's just, I'm always on. So I did some self-examination the past month. I always take a month of my life and do self-examination, read, note take, journal. And I looked at my life and I said, okay, in this phase of it, I'm always on. And I think most people aren't always on. And they interpret that as harshness. Maybe not mean, harsh. And I'm just always on. I'm always about somebody getting better. Like I drive down if I'm driving from here back to work, I'll be thinking about how when I get back to work, somebody needs something to get better at what they're doing. And I got to find that answer for them.
Trent, this has been an incredible time together. Thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you for sharing the wisdom that you've learned. Some of those lessons have been easy to learn. Some of them have been painful and challenging to learn.
No doubt.
But we're all blessed by having you not only doing what you're doing in the lives of young people at Lipscomb Academy, but taking some time to invest in the lives of those that will listen to this podcast. Thank you much, my friend.
All right.